If the discriminant's anything but a perfect square, then it cannot be factored. That means it's prime. So what I want to do, I want to do A times C, and I'm going to put it in this upper right-hand corner, which will be 10 times negative 6 is negative 60, and then positive 17 is going to go on the bottom. That kind of looks like 19. Like from here, that's the hardest part, is finding those two numbers. After that, unless you don't like reducing fractions, which most of you don't. All right. From here, all I've got to do, I'm going to make two fractions, and I'm going to put 10 on the top of both of them. And the reason I chose 10 is because that's in front here. 10 is in front here. And then I'm going to put 20 under one and negative 3 under the other fraction. And then I just want to simplify the fractions. So 10 goes in there once. 10 goes into 20 twice. I can't simplify 10 and negative 3. So that's going to each fraction represents one set of parentheses. Alright, so now that it's reduced, alright, both fractions have an x, we know that. Whatever's on the top of the fraction goes in front of the x. So there's a 1 there, so it's 1x, or just x, you don't have to put the 1 there. It's a positive 2, so it's going to be plus 2. And then 10x minus 3. So I can pull a p out of the problem. Alright. So that's going to leave me with 16 m squared minus 81 x squared. In math, we see this a lot in math, and I want you to be able to recognize this by the end of the year. If you see something like this, you should recognize how it factors. That's one reason I put that formula on your Stuff You Must Know code sheet. Alright. If you have two things, a binomial, so this is technically like a binomial. You have two things and there's a minus sign in the middle. You need to check to see if you can take the square root of both of these. Can I take the square root of 16? Yes. And m squared? Yeah. I can take the square root of any letter as long as the power is even. I can take the square root of it. So if it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, as long as it's an even power, 12. I can take the square root of it. All right. Same thing with it. So I can take this square root. Can I take the square root of 81x squared? Yes. All right. So now I know that's a difference of squares because I can take the square root of both sides. So 16m. What's the square root of 16m squared? 4m. So that's going to be in front of the parentheses both times. 4m and 4m. What's the square root of 81x squared? 9x. So 9x goes with both parentheses. Well, this is what. So if there's more than one letter, we want to look and see if. But all three of these have to have the same letter to be able to pull it out. Pull it on the outside. But this one doesn't have a Y, does it? And this one doesn't have an X. So I can't pull out either letter. So I can't pull the letter out. It's a unique problem, and it'll always be set up this way. It'll always be set up to where you have two letters. They could be A's and B's or X and Y's or anything. All right. If my two letters are X and Y, if one of the letters squared is at the front and one of the letters squared is at the back, and the two letters are side by side in the middle, then it'll factor just like we're used to factoring stuff. Right? So how you would do that is just ignore the Y for just a little bit and factor it like normal. So I want to factor it like the Y is not even there. So we're going to pretend the Y is not there and just factor this to start with.
So you pick up the A.
So there's another thing. I'm going to go ahead and factor it the way that we've been doing. The one example I showed you. So what's A times C is 4 times negative 6, which is
negative 24.
And negative 10 goes there. So what two numbers multiply to give?
6 and 4.
It has a lag out because we're having issues.
I'm the only one on this network. Yeah, it'd be negative 24 here, negative 10 here. So there it is.
You just have to do it with
So I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 24 and add to give me negative 10.
Negative 6 and negative.
Dang, she got that quick.
If it's negative 6 and negative 4,
Never mind.
that gives me positive 24.
No, it's just negative 12. It'd be negative 6.
Well, what about... It has to be a positive and a negative.
Negative 12 and 2.
Negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. But that's why I want you to put them in these boxes, because you double check. So if I did put negative 6 and negative 4 in there, when I multiply those together, it gives me positive 24. I know that's wrong. Okay. Now, I've got my two numbers, so I'll make my two fractions. 4 over negative 12, 4 over 2. 4 over 12 reduces to 1/3, and that reduces to 2 over 1. So my parentheses would be
4A.
x minus 3 and 2x plus 1. If I have a power on the outside, like on the outside of the parentheses, then it's kind of like distributive property. I'm going to give that power to every number in the parentheses. So my 4 is going to be to the third, right? Then I'm going to do x to the negative third to the third. Do what? Forgot.
No.
4 and